Hi guys, Darth Deuce here with another Star Wars The Vintage Collection action figure review. Today taking a look at another pretty new release. It is the Grand Inquisitor from the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series. A figure that I was looking forward to. Not one that I was like crazy excited for, I guess, just because I've had the Black Series one for like a year now at this point. And I'm expecting this figure to be basically just a scaled down version of the Black Series, if I'm being honest. Um, but yeah, this is one I wanted to get. I am trying to cut back a bit more and trying to get duplicates of characters in both lines. But I was actually almost considering passing on this because I already had the Black Series figure. But in 3¾ inch, collecting Sith and other Darksiders and whatnot is kind of my bread and butter. That's my favorite thing to collect in 3¼ inch. So I kind of had to get this guy. Anyways, taking a look at the packaging first. I think this card back looks pretty good. I think they picked a pretty good image from the show, or I assume it's from the show. I guess it could be like promotional art or like edited or something. I'm not sure, but it pretty much fully showcases the character there. It looks nice. Got the Obi-Wan Kenobi logo, Grand Inquisitor figure. And then on the back, other figures that are available. I have reviewed Grand Admiral Thrawn, Moff Jerjerrod, and Boba Fett previously. I've technically have reviewed that Ahsoka previously as well. That's an old review because that's from I reviewed the first release of that like a year ago or something like that. Morgan Elsbeth, I'm not sure if I'm going to pick up. I haven't decided yet. Probably not, but we'll see. Maybe if I get her on cheap on sale. And I probably get the HK droid at some point, but he's not a priority. Again, I might just wait for a sale on that one. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the packaging. So crack this guy open. We'll take a closer look. Now I have the figure out of the packaging, and it's a good figure. There's definitely things I like about it. It is very similar to the Black Series, but it does have some differences, and it does have some things I'm not super pleased about. We'll get into all that. But first, taking a look at the sculpt and the paint, taking a look at the head sculpts, and of course, one of the biggest, I don't know if controversy is the right word, criticisms of the character design from the show is I don't know what they were thinking with the design of the head. It does not look really like I think the aliens are called Powans, I think. Doesn't really look like the design of the species from the show, and it's even worse because they had live action Powans in Revenge of the Sith, and they looked so much better, and then they decided to do this in the show. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's not the fault of the figure Hasbro. It's just it's a you know the creators of the show, designers. It's a criticism on their end. So right off the bat, this might be an issue for you with this figure. But disregarding that, just purely off of a head sculpt, objectively speaking, it's nicely sculpted and it has some pretty clean face printing. It's hard to get it on camera, my camera anyways, but the dark side eyes are actually really cleanly printed, but it's so small, it's really hard to, show it off. But it looks pretty good. The little markings on the eyes look good. The markings on the forehead are sharp, but mine are a little off center, which is a little annoying. So if you're looking at this in store, you might want to make sure you get one that looks like it's a bit more straight or applied. I got this online, so couldn't do that. But everything else looks pretty good. Then the rest of the figure, the armor looks nice. This figure, the black armor, has a much more glossy finish as opposed to the Black Series one. And I kind of prefer the glossy look. It makes it look more like realistic armor, so that's kind of cool. You got some nice little paint details on the belts. You got the little Grand Inquisitor pin there. On the chest plate, the shoulder plates look good. You got the gauntlets, armor, and the clothing sculpting looks good, as well as the boots. Or, classic Star Wars black boots. Not too much to say there. It does have a soft goods cape. It's black on one side, and it's this burgundy color on the inside. It's actually made of a pretty nice material. It's not too thin. You can't easily see through it anyways, and it looks pretty nice. I like how it's connected to the figure as well. The Black Series one had this weird way it was stitched on the back, which honestly might have been more accurate to the show, but I kind of just like this. It looks cleaner, flows better. I don't know. This one's, I think, better. It looks pretty good. And aside from the head, I actually really like the Obi-Wan Kenobi Grand Inquisitor design. They made his armor look just a little more grand with the cape and the larger shoulder pads and whatnot. But yeah, I think it looks good. It represents the character from the show pretty accurately, in my opinion. In terms of articulation, this is where I have some issues, but he does have the new dumbbell joint in the neck, but it is pretty limited. Like, he doesn't really look up or down a whole lot, just a bit. You don't even get a ton of pivot, and then rotation is fine. Ball hinges shoulders, these shoulder pads are a bit flexible. They will kind of move out of the way, so you can get them out all the way and rotate them. Single hinges at the elbows that are kind of tight, but they move a bit past 90, so that's good. But then for some reason, you know, it's the standard swivel at the wrists. But then both wrists have in and out hinges instead of having the up and down hinges. I can understand maybe this hand having the in and out hinge, but why does his saber wielding hand have this in and out hinge? I thought we were past this, Hasbro. They were doing so good. Almost every figure that had a lightsaber and a blaster had the up and down hinge. Like, this in and out hinge is almost always useless. And on this character, it is useless. So you are kind of limited in some lightsaber posing you can do because this hinge is just pointless for this character. I don't know why they did this. Like I said, so many figures they've released since then, or before this, have had the proper up and down hinge for lightsaber wielding characters. I don't know why they went back a step with this guy on this one, but yeah, that's kind of disappointing. Torso joints at the waist, it goes back a bit. Doesn't really go too far forward because the armor hinders the articulation, but does rotate fine. A little bit of pivot. Hip joints that kick out, don't really kick back. Swivel cut at the thigh there, works fine. That one's a little stuck. That one's a little stuck too, but they're good now. Single hinges at the knees, they go just about 90. No boots cut, but he does have hinges at the ankles. They go up, down quite a bit, and rocker for pivot. So articulation is good for the most part, but that wrist hinge is not being correct is just baffling. I don't know what they were thinking there. In terms of accessories, it's pretty much what you'd expect. He does come with his lightsaber with the ignited blades. The blades are a nice vibrant red. The hilt, I think, is decently sculpted and painted. And he can hold that. Getting his hand there. And he grips that nice and securely. No issues. That looks pretty good. He also comes with the unignited hilt, which is nice. Again, sculpted and painted well. Does have a couple of peg holes, and you do have some, or pegs, and you have a couple of peg holes on the back, so you can actually plug the hilt into the back there, which I think is pretty nice. Yeah, accessories are pretty good. I do kind of wish he came with another lightsaber that had just the one blade extended instead of the two, so you had that option. But yeah, I guess it's something I wouldn't have actually expected, but it would have been nice to have. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the figure itself. Not much else to say. I guess we can do some comparisons. First off, with I think the only other Inquisitor that they've made in from the show and 3 quarters so far is Riva. I think they look pretty good together. I do like that the Grand Inquisitor is a bit taller. That is accurate. That's as it should be. And then here he is with Darth Vader. And I don't even have Darth Vader standing up straight, and he is taller than Grand Inquisitor, so I like that. I think Darth Vader should be taller than all of them. So I think that is pretty cool. They all look pretty good together. Here he is with the Black Series Grand Inquisitor. You can see very similar figures. Very similar, but you can see like the differences. Well, maybe you can, maybe you can't. The Vintage Collection one is a bit glossier. I think that looks better. You see the head sculpts. I actually think I might prefer the sculpt and printing on the Vintage Collection one. I'm not gonna lie. They're both pretty good. Well, pretty good, objectively speaking. It completely depends on if you can tolerate this design or not. I'm actually seeing this now. I didn't even realize, but the Black Series one has the same thing with the wrist hinges. He has the wrong wrist hinges, in and outs instead of the up and downs. I didn't realize that. It's been a while since I messed with the Black Series one. I don't know why they did that with this character, man. That makes no sense. But all the other details are pretty much the same. You can see maybe what I was saying with the cape. This one's got this like weird stitching where it's hooked up at the shoulders, I think, or yeah, up around the shoulders, or this one just hooks around his neck and up his back. So you get this weird like fold in the back of the Black Series one, but this one's a lot flatter and cleaner. Yeah, it is. It's not really a big issue or anything. It's just worth noting, I guess. But yeah, I guess lastly, we can compare him with the only other Grand Inquisitor that exists that I actually have. Here is the Rebels 5 POA Grand Inquisitor, which is one of the few 5 POA figures I got. And in terms of 5 POA, it's actually not a bad figure. It looks good, but obviously the articulation is terrible. You can see the difference in design and the difference in the heads. I do wish in the show they would have went something a lot more closer to the Rebels design than what they ended up going with. But yeah, this figure's still cool. It's a pretty good representation of how he appeared in the show. So I'm definitely going to keep him. I got him for dirt cheap. But it is nice to have a super articulated version of the Grand Inquisitor, I will say. So overall, I think it's a solid release. If you are a fan of the Grand Inquisitor and you can tolerate the redesign they did for the show, and you want a 3 3/4 Grand Inquisitor that has good, well, for the most part, good articulation, then yeah, I definitely recommend picking up this figure. It's a pretty good one for the most part. But if you really don't like the design at all, then definitely it's an easy pass. But that's kind of up to you. Anyways, that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next video. May the Force be with you.